Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclarke.com.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. It is Friday. Thank you very much for your company on this holiday weekend. In the studio, Alan Ruff and Barry Ferguson are with me, and there's quite a lot to discuss and an interesting weekend in the Premiership ahead. So with the Scotland manager gone, suddenly we're starting to look for candidates for the job. Interestingly enough, quite a few people have suggested, including myself, that it might not be a job that appeals to many. Steve Clarke this morning certainly looked as if he'd put his name in the frame.
Yeah, at some stage. Yeah, whether it's now or not is a matter for you guys to talk about and speculate. I'm fully focused on finishing the season well here at Kilmarnock. I've got nothing to say whether they get in touch or whether they don't get in touch. Will be down to them. They'll do their due diligence. They'll get together a list of candidates, and then they have to decide what to do.
Okay, when a manager of his calibre says yep at some point, and certainly he hasn't been contacted yet, that's a door that I think somebody should quickly go through.
Yeah, I think this season he's been the manager we've all been talking about. I think any time you see him in interviews, he comes out very honest, and he's got the certain credentials that a Scotland manager should have. So it remains to be seen if the SFA do actually contact him and how quickly he comes out and says, yeah, I want it. Yeah.
Does he float your boat, Barry?
Well, he's certainly a manager that's impressed me since he's come up to Kilmarnock. I think he's done a magnificent job. You just need to see their league position. So certainly he will be a guy that I'm sure the SFA will be looking at, and I think there's another couple in the Premier League also that I think should win me a shout. I look at kind of Derek McInnes. Has he took Aberdeen as far as they can go? You never know, but I think this has got to be the right appointment, this one. We've certainly got a few guys I think are capable of getting in and taking the job, because for me it's still a good job. There's still a lot of good players in that squad.
Yep, interestingly enough, it might also suit Steve Clarke, because there's been all the speculation about maybe Celtic being interested in him, but I think when you hear a manager speak so passionately about how he abhors the sectarianism that has gone on, especially when it involved one of his players at his club earlier in the season, I think Ruffy, the Scotland job would be perfect. Doesn't need to stay in the country, as previous managers have proved.
No, he certainly doesn't, and I think obviously we read between the lines, he was thinking of getting out of Scotland. You know, we thought the Fulham job was going to come up for him, and it's hinted that he was going to just get out because of all the hassle that was going on. But I think the Scotland job would just give him a wee bit of peace of mind, you know, not have everything else that's going on and just concentrate on getting us back on track.
Well, one of the things that's emerged over all forms of media is the sympathy towards the manager Alex McLeish, who was sacked by the SFA yesterday. It's not so much the fact that they have the right to sack the manager, because the results just haven't been there, and the defeat to Kazakhstan was hard to take. Alex McLeish is big enough and man enough to know that it's a results-driven business. It's more or less the article, which basically said he would be sacked, hinted at a few other issues surrounding Alec, and then left that for 29 days since the Kazakhstan result, just for Alex McLeish to stew and wait until a board could suddenly come up with a decision. I think that's what's really irked a lot of people. And Celtic manager Neil Lennon has come out and hammered the SFA for the sacking.
The decision to remove Alec was premature and seemed to be based on one result, which is scandalous from my point of view, but there are a lot of good candidates out there, and it's a prime job, I think, still.
Yeah, you can't take away the pain, I think, for Alex, because it's his second stint. He'll be well aware of the results, Ruffy, but the one thing we've been talking about continually, I think, is the manner of it. That long delay and that story that just, I think, upsets a lot of people.
Yeah, but you know my view on this. You know, I do believe, although it was a long time before it happened, in that space of time, Alec had been kept in contact. You know, Ian Maxwell went down to London, talked to him, told him what was happening. Even at the beginning of the week, he had a meeting with him to tell him what was happening. So you can draw your own conclusions to the way it happened. Sure, and looking at it, if we were going along the lines of he was left to hang out there and get nobody telling anything about it, is diabolical. But I don't believe that is the case. I believe he was told there was going to be a board meeting and they were going to discuss then and there when it was going to happen. So,
yeah. Was he told that they couldn't come to a decision after the Kazakhstan, but they might get to one 3 weeks later?
Yeah, but you know, like it is when you've got 8 board people. You know, they all have their own views on what's going to happen. Neil Lennon's flabbergasted that he sacked him after 2 games. I'm sure there would be other people on the board thinking that way as well. You know, so you have to get an agreement eventually. You know, when you're going to come to that decision, and they've came to the decision. I personally think it's the wrong decision. It's like sacking a manager after 2 games. You know, okay, when it was a poor performance, but if you look at the league table, we're still sitting second with everybody else. It's not the end of the world. We've still got players to come back. We've still got young players in there that can prove they're worth a shout in the Scotland team. So I'd have gave him another couple of games.
Yeah, the games wasn't the part that annoyed me after 2 games, Barry. What annoyed me was the article that suggested there was something that happened pre the San Marino game.
Yep.
There's all sorts of aspersions over his health. That was allowed to stew. I don't care about the fact that they're well within their rights to sack a manager if they don't feel he's right for the job. But to allow that sort of rumour to stay out there and not make a comment, that's what left a sour taste in my mouth.
Same with me, Peter. It's left a sour taste in my mouth. To leave it that long, 29 days you said after the Kazakhstan, that would be 25 days after the San Marino game. I think it's ridiculous, I do. And does it take 25 days to organise a board meeting? They should have done that right after the San Marino game, knowing what they're wanting to do with Alec, and give him a bit of respect. Because don't forget, look, I know it's been tough, that Alec's big enough man to realise that the Kazakhstan, the way they played against Kazakhstan, the way they played against San Marino wasn't good enough. But this is a guy who's served his country as a player and a manager before, who's an experienced campaigner, an experienced manager. I just think it's sad, it's ridiculous, whatever you want to call it. I think the way the SFA have acted is a joke.
Okay, let's concentrate on the weekend's football. Of course, it's going to be scorching out there, Ruffy. We're really looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll get some people out there on the holiday weekend supporting the game. Interestingly enough, we'll stick with the SFA. Suddenly, Scott Brown's hearing has been brought forward, which means he will actually, if he gets a 2-game ban, he would still be available for the Rangers game. Clearly, Celtic's lawyers have been working hard at looking at the rules to try and make sure this is the case, that they can bring the case forward.
Yeah, again, it's another rule that the outsiders looking at it would say, oh, that's out of order. You know, we're just suiting Celtic. But if it's in the rule book and it states that you can do that, then so be it.
Yeah, the disappointment, I suppose, when you look at Celtic, the other bit of news, Barry, we mentioned it earlier in the week that Ryan Christie just wasn't going to be able to play before the end of the season. That's a real blow to him.
Yeah, and a blow for Neil Lennon. He's just back from injury. I watched the game they played down against St Mirren. He came on and he changed that game that night. And to be fair to the boy, he makes a difference when he's in that Celtic team. So it's a big blow, not just to Christie, but to Celtic.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, as we switch to other news that's come out, Stephen Gerrard was speaking today and he mentions the fact that, he hasn't got a magic wand. He's going to need some serious money to challenge Celtic next season. Yeah,
well, Dave King says in his statement that he's going to give him money to go and bolster the squad, which I think is needed to go and push on next season. So Stephen Gerrard, I've seen his interview, he's clearly saying, right, let's show me the money. And he's identified players that he wants to bring into the Rangers squad, and that needs a bit of serious money, so hopefully Dave King can come up with it.
Yep, just a little catchphrase from a movie, Ruffy, there. Do you remember it?
What was that?
Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah, I remember the film, I just can't place who was in it.
Yeah.
It was
Tom
an
Cruise.
American football player, wasn't it?
Tom Cruise was in it.
His agent. Yeah.
Cuba Gooding Jr., Jerry Maguire. Yeah, there you are. Wee bit of that from Baz. Obviously, another inspirational movie. We're going to look at Rangers' game tomorrow. Hearts against Rangers, and also Hibs against Celtic. 2 cracking games in the capital. And we'll look at what's happening at the bottom end of the Premiership after our quiz winner. Torry Andre Flo was the answer to our quiz. What was he like as a guy off the field, and did you rate him on the field?
Yeah, I rated him as a player. Awkward customer, but for his height, very good on the ball. But off the pitch, quiet, kept himself to himself, but generally a nice guy. And listen, I thought he'd done a real good job. If you look at his goals record for Rangers when he was up here, it was decent. Yeah.
Do you think he got a bad rap just because they lost the title?
Yeah, and plus the price tag as well. I think it's £12 million Rangers paid for him. So he was always going to be under that bit of pressure, and so were Rangers. But listen, I thought he was a fine player, Big Tory.
Yeah, okay. We're looking forward to a game tomorrow in the capital. I'm going to go through to Tynecastle. Hearts against Rangers, always tasty at the best of times. Strangely enough, you know, there's always this sense of an affiliation, or, you know, one team maybe likes another team, or they've got a soft spot for them. I can tell you categorically, Hearts and Hibs have got no time for Celtic and Rangers. Having lived in that city, they would love nothing more than to take the scalp of Rangers.
Yeah, that's the feeling through the West, isn't it? That there's one team goes within a team, but I can say for experience, certainly being at Tynecastle, they don't like you. Great stadium to play in, a great game for Rangers to go and obviously get 3 points. I think their form's really good, Peter. I thought the performance at Fir Park was excellent. So they need to keep that going, and hopefully they get the 3 points.
Yeah, there is an edge to this one as well, Ruffy. Obviously, the split now, these games mean something to your league position. That also means a financial reward. But Hearts will want to have the bragging rights in the city. They're 2 points behind Hibs.
Yeah, and Hearts have got a big game coming up at the end of the season, in the final. The players will want to impress the manager. They'll all want to play. They'll all want to make sure that they're the name on that list, because that's what it's all about, getting to finals at the end of the season. So, yeah, I hope if it's meaty, it's meaty, but I hope we don't have the silly red cards that we had one of these games, you know, early on, and it spoiled the whole game. So let's hope both sets of players are discipline's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope we're talking about it for all the right reasons. And when you consider what's been happening over the last couple of weeks, let's hope we don't have any more flares. I know that Anne Budge has stood her ground on some of the fans and their unruly behaviour, and this is the type of game where we don't need any fan acting in a way that would taint the club. So enjoy the game. How do you see it going? You going for Rangers for a win, Barry?
I'm confident Rangers will go there and win the game.
Ruffy?
Yeah, I think Rangers will go and win 2-1.
Okay, Hibs against Celtic on the Sunday, Ruffy. Now, Paul Heckingbottom will surely feel confident his side can cause a wee bit of an upset, but if Rangers were to drop points on the Saturday, Celtic could win it at Easter Road on the Sunday.
Yeah, they certainly could, and I mean, Barry will know better than me. If you're sitting in a dressing room and you know you've got a game to win the championship, you want to get it done and dusted, you want to celebrate as soon as possible. So that's the momentum for the Hibs players, there's no doubt about that. But Celtic, like Hearts, have got a big game at the end of the season as well, you know, so their players will want to impress the manager as well.
Yep, and of course the Celtic manager Neil Lennon is going back to his old stomping ground, Easter Road.
Looking forward to it, although Hibs are in great form, and obviously buoyed by a deserved win at Tynecastle, and they deserved that. It's been coming for quite a while, so delighted for the Hibs public, but obviously we're coming here knowing what our motivation and incentives are, and that's to, you know, try and win well off the back of a very convincing semi-final performance last week. So psychologically the boys are in a good place at the minute, and we just have to maintain that now.
It's a strange thing about Neil Lennon at the moment. He seems to, it's a little bit of a leaf out of your book, he seems to have calmed down. This fiery character that we associate with the player and then the manager. I've watched him in the touchline. He still loses the head from time to time, but he seems a lot more calm.
Yeah, he looks a lot more calmer than what we've seen in the first spell at Celtic, certainly, and obviously at Hibs. Maybe it's just he's just getting more mature as he gets older, type thing like myself.
Look at your man there, just suggesting there's some kind of parallel. We shall see. Anyway, what are you going for?
Again, it's always a tough place to go, but listen, if Celtic, they've got the title in their sights, you're sitting in that dressing room, you need to go out and win the game. I think Celtic will do that.
Yeah, I think Celtic will do it as well.
Okay, there you are. Mark that down. Ruffy predicts a defeat for Hibs for the first time in 48 weeks on the show, Barry. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there you are. That's the pundit for you. Over and above that, we've got some tasty games to look forward to elsewhere in the league. Livingston against St Mirren. At the bottom end as well, there are some tasty games. Yep. Livingston against St Mirren, Barry.
I fancy Livingston, I've got to be honest. I know St Mirren I've picked up of late, but I've just got a feeling that Livingston are going to finish strongly. Yeah,
I think Livingston are the team getting into the game with no pressure whatsoever, and obviously a lot of the players leaving at the end of the season, so they'll want to see a win in front of the home fans.
Yeah, are we changing our mind on the bottom two again? Because, 4 points from safety.
No, I don't think there is a safety at all. 3 points for a win can make that gap close. I've not got the fixture list to see when these games are, but certainly every manager will know exactly what they need out of these games.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, and Hamilton Accies know exactly what's needed. If they can just keep their noses out in front, pick up the points and stay away from St Mirren and Dundee, they'll be away from it. It'll be down to the last two. So Hamilton against Motherwell, Lanarkshire derby, Ruffy?
A draw for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same as Ruffy. I think Hamilton will pick up a good point here.
Yeah, and Brian Rice is actually starting his recruitment. He's want to try and get players in and get them in quickly to plan for next season. I think there'll be a different team next season.
Yeah, you can see he's changed the style slightly since he's come in. It's difficult when it's not your squad and you've not signed any players, but I'm sure there'll be a bit of a rebuild there, and I think Hamilton will be safe this year, and I think they'll do a lot better under Brian Rice next season. Yeah.
St Johnstone against Dundee. Dundee, I think, are gone. I think St Mirren might be the playoff. What do you think, Ruffy?
I think Dundee's last chance saloon. I've said it numerous occasions. I've been impressed with them up to 60 minutes, but when that goal doesn't go in, you can feel a pressure mounting, and then something silly happens at the other end. I think if the only chance I've got is a win tomorrow.
I'm St Johnstone to win the game.
Johnstone, okay. I haven't forgotten about Kilmarnock Aberdeen because this one is the battle for third place. You couldn't pick it any better. They're both on 58 points. It's magic.
Yeah, it's a great game. I just think Aberdeen will have a hangover for the semi-final defeat. Kilmarnock will be fresh, so I'm going to go for Kilmarnock to win the game.
I'm going to go for Aberdeen. I just think they want that higher up in the league than Kilmarnock.
Okay, let's see if the odds agree with our two pundits. Gabriel Antoniazzi, our reporter, looks at the weekend's fixtures.
After the Scottish Cup semi-final weekend, the Premiership returns, with the top and the bottom sides split in two. Let's start at the top, where Hearts welcome Rangers on Saturday lunchtime. Hearts will be boosted by their semi-final win, but Rangers are in decent form and have had 2 weeks to prepare for this, so I could see a draw here at 14-5. Hamilton Accies are in the best position out of the relegation-threatened teams and know that a few wins will guarantee their safety. They should come out here to attack, and there will be goals, with both teams to score nearly evens. Kilmarnock and Aberdeen are vying for that third place finish behind the Old Firm clubs, and the Dons often have the upper hand in this tie, and they've only lost once in the last 20 meetings. A repeat scoreline of November's game at Rugby Park is 10-1. Livingston have had a hugely impressive first season in the Premiership, but look set to be picked apart in the summer. They'll be trying to finish as high up as they can, and they're great value at home at 19-20. Dundee are bottom at the moment, and they know they must take at least something here, and with St Johnstone's form at the moment indifferent, it may be their best chance at McDermott Park. If you fancy a big price, you can get them at 16-5. And finally, on Sunday, Celtic and Neil Lennon could win the league at Easter Road. Who would have imagined that? but only if Rangers drop points at Tynecastle. Edouard has been in amongst the goals lately, especially in the big games, and he's 11-4 to open the scoring here.
Okay, thanks to Gabriel, our reporter. Just to finish, a story that I think will interest you, Barry. The Dutch League will move fixtures to help Ajax prepare for Spurs. The entire weekend of fixtures will be moved to give Ajax time to prepare for the Tottenham clash. Go on, have your moment. You've got 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, fair play to the Dutch FA. They're only looking after one of their teams.
I mean, that's what should happen.
That's, for me, I think that's a touch of class in terms of they're wanting to see Ajax get to that final and do their bit for Dutch football.
Painful?
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
But listen, it's gone and it's in the past.
Yeah.
It's in the past.
Yeah, there you are. He's getting older, he's getting more mature as time goes on. But yeah, well done to the Dutch FA for that. Go out to a game this weekend, enjoy your football, go home safely. I hope you have a great Easter weekend. From Ruffy, from Barry and myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclarke.com.